time to go deep. We don't demonstrate, bitch, we penetrate. He is the instructor, and I am the splash specialist. And we about to go deep on you. So without further ado, we bring to you Diving Deeper Dialogue. Shout out to the rest of the Swivel Room family, Eddie P, Tank, Old Man Ali, and Beat Down Brown. You know how we do? What's going on, partner?
Yo, you know it's ongoing, bro. It's ongoing.
Hey,
We keep it moving.
As long as it's kinetic and all that inertia, we get it going. You feel me?
Factoids.
Word up. It's the word.
Yeah, man. Welcome to another Deeper Dives Dialogue Unlimited. Diving deeper. We got a little confusion going on, but it's all good. We got to fix that little intro. But thanks for joining us. Whoever is here, whoever comes on in later times and periods to watch or view, we got our fingers crossed. Hopefully you will find some value and enjoyment in what we got to talk about most of the time, if not all. Today's topic we're going to deal with is spirituality versus religion, part 2, continuation from last week. And we got a special guest, that's popping through for a moment or however long she had today. My sister, my friend, Jesus Christo, aka, the voice. And man. So let's kick this off.
Indeed.
Welcome, sis.
Honor to you both. Thank you for having me.
Honor, likewise.
Indeed.
Yeah. So spirituality versus religion. C-Dub, I remember last week you said it was something you wanted to go into. I hope you took note of it. Been a busy week, so I apologize. I don't know exactly or remember exactly what it was, but it was something I thought was relevant and very powerful.
It was spirituality versus religion versus cults.
Cults, that's right. Yeah. So what you got, man? What you want to go into?
I mean, they all fall into the same vein. I mean, shoot, you figure cults is just a deeper version of it, a more extreme version, I should say. You know what I'm saying? And
yep,
it's just it's wild because nowadays you have more of these cults that are popping up. I mean, you've always had them, but nowadays you got them more to the mainstream, and a lot of them are disguising themselves as things that aren't cults. You know what I'm saying? But they have a lot of cult-like activities, cult-like ways. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we can get into that as well.
Right. What's going on, Jesus? What's happening?
Honor.
Have you encountered anybody that's been affected by these cult situations?
No, not personally.
Okay.
Not personally. Recently, brought to my attention just something. You know how you just got into something,
sure,
or scroll upon something, and now there's a article in that's gone viral across the country as far as 6 people missing, allegedly 2 children and 4 adults from Missouri.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, God. Thank you. Want to make sure I say the right thing. I read a lot of stuff, and that's interesting. Pretty interesting. I'm not. I just took it with a grain of salt. And it was how you raise your eyebrow at something, and it was concerning to know how true it is. Not to just read something and be like, oh yeah, he did it or she did it. No. Things are playing out. And with cults, period, to my growing stage of understanding things and understanding with the cult and occult, it could be perceived as confusing. I speaking for myself, not for someone else, but confusing and complex until more understanding of the difference. I'm saying this to myself to like want to understand the cult
Right.
versus the occult. So what I do notice so far, I extend my knowing to others in the way that is set up. When I say it's, when I present something to the world for a gravitational pull and people attend a devotion or sit in with me that is substantial, what I would say can be substantial for one's transformation. And when I say beneficial, substantial to one's transformation, I could only refer that what's inside of me is equal to what's inside of someone else. And what I bring forth is based on that. It's based on oneself. It's not based on because Jesus said, because I created something and I want people to do it my way. So that would be more, as I'm still understanding, the occult section, because when people attend what I have to present, it's 15 people on the mute button for 2 hours. No, I'm the only one talking. Yet that's the same as that's the same. It could be perceived the same as cult, but it's not.
Right.
All I
Right.
have, and also what I present when people attend or feel gravitated or think they are, I work with people energy bodies. That's the word proof, but I like the word evidence, not proof, because we're not here to prove anything yet. There's some importance to that as well. So what I bring forth and people who come sit in, they're on mute for 2 hours. 2 hours. I'm talking that long for 2 hours and don't need no response back because it's a DNA signature. It's not based on the five senses. It's based on soul fragment and installations of data of quantum intelligence. Yet they're on mute for 2 hours. My brothers and sisters are on mute for 2 hours. And I use the word complex because someone who may not understand that and be like, well, why is she doing it? You know what I'm saying? It could seem like it's a cult, but it's not. What I bring forth is a remembrance. That's all I can say. All I have is my word of what's installed in us, and I just happen to be one who's born into this flesh, who's connected to many star nations. Let's say that. You know, the 12 DNA thing, that's what that is. So there are other people on this plane that I wrote out before I was born that would, it's a potential when I put this out to the world that they would gravitate to it due to me already putting it out in the solar system to their true self. So what I present when people do attend, people they're on mute for 2 hours. There are times where I ask everyone something and I say, can you please come off mute? Why? That's because of background noise. You know what I'm saying? Background noise. I need the word, it'd be interference. I got 15 to 20 people on two screens, so the background noise is important. And I got people who attend that got kids moving around. You know what I'm saying? This background noise. Sometimes when there's a lot of people on one call, the static is just going to happen. So the mute button, that plays a part as well. Also, I'm talking to people DNA. I'm not talking to this. I'm talking to a soul fragment of familiarity or remembrance to beings who already did this shit. Excuse my French. So again, my point of bringing up all of that in my own experience, what I bring forth can be perceived as cult. Yet it's not, because I'm the only one talking for 2 hours with everyone on mute.
So I'd like to dig into that the title cult. Let's get into the meaning a bit, um, because it's changed shape over the years. Back in the '90s when I was doing radio broadcasting, I used to be an engineer first, so I would engineer not a podcast, a broadcast called Preachers Roundtable, right? So there was a group of local preachers or pastors having a discussion, and the discussion went to cults, right? And they were talking about Islam just as an example, no shade towards anyone and their belief, but they were going into how Islam was a cult. So at the commercial break, literally 3 minutes, I run into the bubble, what we call the studio, to correct the pastors, which was not easy to do, in that time in the '90s. These were the most respected, you know, leaders in the city as far as their church congregations. These were good brothers, right? But I delicately went in and I explained to that the main pastor that made the statement that he should probably consider an apology to the Islamic community, because in fact, all Christian churches that practice any form of baptism or christening are actually cults by definition, by the true original definition of a cult of belief. You have to be baptized into the name of that God that your religion is centered around. And they said that I was absolutely correct. They had forgotten that, they weren't thinking in those terms or in that context. So they offered an apology to the Islamic leaders of the community. But, I only bring that up to say that the real definition of a cult is that you have to have an essential central figure to which the belief of that faith is focused on. And baptism has to be a practice, whether it be by blood. And I know that sounds disgusting, but that's what they did in the old times, back in the ancient times. And then that translated into water as a more palatable, acceptable practice, especially since they moved away from animism or the use of animal symbols for their depiction of the energy that they call God, right? So then you got culture, right? There's culture. So you can have a cult or a culture based around personality types. Some particular cults meaning cultures of religion, practice things like you have to write a letter that matches the handwriting of the central human figure that represents that God or that energy that's being taught about to the rank and file members, right? So then you have those type of things. So yeah, people have different opinions on that, and they're not right or wrong in their opinion. But it's interesting in the day and time that we're in that these meanings kind of evolve or change or spread to mean different things to different people based upon their reality and concept of the proper light or context. So yeah, um, yeah, you have quite a bit of I know you don't like to say large, but to me it's a pretty large following. Um, Very impressive. And because you speak from such a centered place, to, like you said, the genetic codes and the inner electric body, people haven't heard, about this. So um, I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk more about that too in a moment. C-Dub, your experience with culture, you want to talk about the story that Sis brought up, because I know that's something you sent me some days ago to take a look at, or was it yesterday? It was yesterday, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So what was your take on that scenario? And have you ever come across people you think could get caught up in something like that?
Well, I mean, basically, just like sister was saying, I mean, I was just reading on to see like if it was like real, you know what I'm saying? Like legitimate, you know what I mean? Because like reading it, it was like, okay, well, I don't know if it's necessarily legit because one, this whole thing was involving people of our hue. And reading the headlines of it, it was saying some stuff that was basically kind of, not even kind of, but it was just on some real like wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like the allegations and stuff were just like real inflammatory.
Mm.
And when you read stuff like that involving alleged cults about any other type of people of another hue that might not be ours,
Mhm.
you don't read the inflammatory stuff until you get deep into the actual article. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, here we go with this again. Like, why is it all this foul stuff off rip? You know what I'm saying? So let me read into it.
Hmm.
So I'm just reading into it and stuff. And it's like, well, from what I'm reading, everything that they're saying, okay, I mean, it could sound, it don't really sound like it's what it is. You know what I mean? But granted, there are still people of our hue that are missing. And there's no type of, this is the only time that I've even read about this. I haven't heard about it anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? So it makes me think, well, this is the typical type of situation where people of our hue go missing, and you might hear about it once, but it's recognized as something else as other than what it really is. Whereas you got people of another hue that are missing, and you got outrage, you got coverage all over the place about it, and it's like, well, this is an outrage. Why isn't nobody trying to find them or whatever? Blase this, blase that. But then again, like I said, you got 6 people of our hue missing,
Mhm.
and now all of a sudden, oh well, it's a cult, and like I said, the headlines got inflammatory stuff about it, and all this, and that, and then you read it, and it's like, well, okay, there could be some truth to what is being said about it, but it's like, dude, like you read the whole story and it's like, well, the main inflammatory stuff that y'all just put in the headlines is like 2 sentences in the actual story. So what are we
Right.
talking about? What are we talking about here?
Didn't say much.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't.
Sorry about that. If y'all hear the background noise, I got some remodeling happening.
All well and good, but I'm just like, hey, I don't see how. I mean, it could be a little bit of some type of strange. I'm not even gonna say strange activity, because in this day and age, I don't find much strange anymore. But yet and still, it might be a little bit of peculiar activity. But to just flat out say, "Oh, this is a cult," come on, son. Because
Actually,
if it was anybody else, nah, oh well, they're practicing this because of so and such and such. There is always an excuse.
Right. Good point.
the article, as far as the 6 people missing, just to my opinion, not to my knowing, but to my opinion, I believe that this particular young man that's in the prison right now in the state of Georgia, I just feel that it's just being put on him. I said my opinion, just being
And I
put
can see,
on him.
and I
And
from
why
reading, I can see where you're getting that from.
I have an opinion due to what I know.
Right.
That's it.
Right,
That's all. That's
Right.
all.
right,
Because you know
right.
what you know. Sometimes you ain't always gonna talk about it, especially with someone with such a huge platform, with such a sensitive situation right now. His life is on the line, just like any other one that is in no cell. Anyone, no matter what they did, your life is on the line.
Right.
Period. Your health, everything. I don't care how many Orishas you know, hospital. We're all spiritual. We're born like that. So it's. I raise my eyebrow on that because people on this plane who do get charged with stuff, there is something where they start getting charged for, get blamed for a whole bunch of other stuff now.
Patsies. Yep. Fall
Mhm.
guy. We'll go ahead and get him since he's down. We'll tack these on and protect these other proof people who really doing the really doing the dirt. You know, that's one aspect of religion and spirituality that comes together in a most disgusting cocktail.
Dogma way.
No pun intended. But I mean, you got child trafficking rings, you got sex trafficking rings, you got domestic abuse of women and men and children, and in some instances, even animals. You know, it's wild, man. And I mean, you have okay, this country for in specific, you have people whose history that they wrote says that they came here seeking religious freedom, right, and freedom of religion and protection from persecution for practicing said religions. But you have certain religions that don't believe in burial right away. They don't believe that if a man and woman are married, if one of them passes, the other keeps that body not embalmed. I want y'all to hear what I'm saying. This is a recent case of this. I wish I'd have looked it up and pulled it up for the show, but hey, people can research on their own time if they like. But this community doesn't believe that you bury the mate until the other mate dies. So there was a man who, no foul play, had his wife all dressed up, all preserved. They said she was better preserved than you would find someone that had been embalmed and entombed. Sitting there in the living room, no company since she passed. You know, pretty much the community knew what happened, but the police know that these people have these beliefs, but they don't have a what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have a designated task force or a liaison for the community to go out there and investigate things like that just to make sure that the people are okay. I mean, what if that person passed of an infectious disease? You know what I'm saying? So now that you're keeping that disease in a cryptic form out in the open, pretty much in your living environment. You see what I'm saying? And it's not to knock the, hey, they're entitled to their belief, right? It's America, right? But you got to have preparation, knowing that you service that community. Why would you not have someone that goes out and says, hey, we haven't seen Mrs. Johnson in a while. Is everything all right here? Oh, well, she passed. Oh, well, when was her funeral? Oh, well, we're holding that off until, I transition, our belief. Oh, well, can I come in and just take a look around? It's not a criminal investigation. We're just doing a welfare check, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? But you would never think that you would run into that, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's not our culture. You know what I mean? And some people say, I grew up in a cult, right? They practice baptism. That was one of their main tenets of faith. It still is. And it could be a matter of opinion, but the fact of the matter is, by the original tradition, I did. And there were some things that was helpful. There were some things that was harmful. But I also was around a bunch of other people that were in cults of personality, similar cults to the one I was in with just slightly different interpretations. You know what I'm saying? We know a cult when we see one. We know when somebody brainwashed, programmed, and controlled. But what does that have to do with 6 missing folks?
Right. And these people, not that it can't be the young man that's locked up. They're in a whole nother state. Like, I'm watching this young man all over the state of Georgia. Even his videos will go back 6 years. I think, if I ain't mistaken, Shorty might be from Chicago, then moved to Georgia. He ain't from Georgia, but he live in Georgia. I think he's from Chicago. Excuse me, I could be mistaken. But anyway.
Which one? Who was that again? The
young man that got sentenced to 16 years.
Okay.
That's being looked at for the 6 people. Right. And as I do study stuff, I don't listen to his broadcast, but I want to understand what's going on. Because I do know that our brown brothers can do something against universal law and then get more persecution towards them or blame for stuff like we were just speaking of. It just, don't sit right. It don't sit right. As I look at this young man before he got on the podcast, and the young man is doing his videos, his demeanor, his energy. He been in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, how is this even possible with people from a different state missing? His name is tied to it. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm still processing that. Here it is, a young man. Even if he was an older man, I would still say a young man got charged for whatever. And now his name is being caught up with 6 people who don't even live. Georgia ain't even near Missouri. I mean, I can see if it was South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense. How do people say that word, that phrase right there? So I do. I like investigating stuff. You know, I do. So I am interested in these 6 people and how in the world is this young man name connected? Not that it's true, not that it's not true.
Right.
And learning how to be a neutral being in the process is helping me with maturity and neutrality, you know, to not look at anything good or bad, but to understand it, you know.
So they were saying that he was a leader of a religious cult. Was that his?
What the article is speaking of, paraphrasing the article, this young man is being looked at for the reasoning why 6 people are missing from Missouri.
So how?
He's in, not, I'm not, it's not, the article didn't speak of him being in question by the state of, the police authorities or anything,
Okay.
but somebody is choosing this guy, whether it is him or not. I want to know, how is somebody in the Midwest got a cult that live in the hood of Georgia, just like me? This a hood brother.
So that's what I'm kind of trying to gear towards is that conversation.
Nature Boy, excuse me, big bro. Nature Boy, we can figure that out straight out of the hood, right?
Yeah.
But change this whole thing to what he did, what we can see. He wasn't back in the hood chilling or nothing. You know what I'm saying? This Nature Boy, he stayed where he was with what he had going on. You know what I'm saying? The other young man that got 29, that boy straight out of the hood, just like me, man. It don't sit right. It don't sit right. If they'd have said Nature Boy, I'd have been like, yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. You know what I'm saying?
This is funny because there's a tie-in here to a previous show we did, right, Corey? Talking about the internet being a part of the new religion, right? The unspoken religion. You have so many people with followers and subscribers, right? We used to talk in conversations like, I don't subscribe to that particular belief system, but I do feel this, that, and that they teach is true, or I can identify or it resonates with me. But like now, it's such an open opportunity for so many things to go down, be discussed, and then with people just traveling to meet up with folks that they don't actually know. You know what I mean? And hey, I'm all about meeting new people. I love making new friends or new associates, connections, but I got to know something about you before I'm gonna traverse to where you lay your head. You got to know something about me. We got to know that there's at least a mutual respect and love of life, that I'm not going to do some wild and crazy stuff once I get there.
Yeah, because I've had that
Vice
shit.
versa. You're not going to do no wild, crazy stuff to me when I get there, right? You know what I'm saying? So
I bear witness.
Yeah.
I've had to remove people out of my home. I've had to become what I didn't want to become because I'm meeting people without even having that thought form of what Jay just said. And that's what taught me to know, is there a mutual level of respect for life in your mind? And that's going through the experience, not knowing the measure of my heart. Some of it was still trauma. So I'm still so open to everything because I still trembling, you know what I'm saying? And don't understand the measures of my heart because I just woke up 5 minutes ago. So I'm like, hey, yeah, sure, come on. Oh, shoot. I don't never want to see these people again. Whoa.
Because you can share a similar concept of spirituality with someone, going to the whole topic of our planned discussion today, but they don't have your religion, meaning they're not used to your routine in the morning. You're not used to their routine in the morning. Some of them they lack what we used to call home training.
Yes. Yes.
etiquette, courtesy,
Yes.
self-respect,
Yes.
um, modesty. Somebody come stay a couple days with you. You met them through the net. They seem cool. Y'all both building on whatever.
Hmm.
Um, what's the word? Esoteric sciences
Hmm.
and objects of spiritual control and design, and all that's good. They get there, get them out the shower with no towel on. Like, yo,
Hmm.
I didn't invite you here to see all of that. I wasn't interested in knowing that much about you in that way. We building on spirituality. Have some common decency. Oh, okay. I didn't know where the towels was. Yeah, you could have asked me that before you didn't ask to get in my shower, not knowing if I need to clean it or move some of my things out of the way, on for your benefit. But yeah, those type of things, man, it carries over into like I've heard you go insist about how people's dishes sink look,
Hmm.
how to keep their toilet.
Hmm.
Everybody's not this up on the same level of cleanliness or spiritual practices. Like for us, it would be probably common sense, all three of us, that in spirituality there is a degree of cleanliness or order that would be structured, even though we don't necessarily subscribe to or practice a specific organized religion, right?
Hmm.
What you would find religiously is that we always cleaning up after ourselves or preparing a clean place to where we meditate or even sit and just think our own thoughts or doze off for a nap or daydream from.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And
See,
we'd be busy. We have our children and stuff, and of course, there's gonna be dishes in this thing. Of course, the toilet bowl. I'm talking about when it's just like that for weeks on top of weeks
right,
on top
right,
of
but
weeks.
yeah,
We know people live like that because we're busy. We have 3 and 4 kids too. We're busy and stuff. So stuff gets messy. That's just normal to me. It
yeah,
comes with life. But when it's just come always like that, always. I know people. It's just always like all the time. Nobody even rinse a cup out. So.
yeah. I know it drives me crazy, in a manner of speaking, to be around squalor, like utter filth. Like
Mm.
clutter is one thing, a little
Right,
bit dirty, like you
right.
said, traffic, kids,
Yeah, that's gonna
life.
happen. Right.
But like, there's got to be a space. If you're a spiritual person, I would think there's got to be a space that you always maintain. If
Mm.
there isn't, I hope that's something that the audience, whoever might see this, would adopt that. Make sure you keep you a sacred space for you. You know what I mean? To sit and meditate in, or just you know be centered, rooted, grounded.
Yes.
What about you, C Dub? What's your thoughts on that?
All that brings up is from past episodes when we used to say, "Who raised you?"
Yeah,
Come on.
courtesy of
Shoot, TK Kirkland.
PK
Who
Kirkland.
raised you? Because I mean, shoot, come on now. I mean, again,
Mhm.
like you said, the whole home training thing. Some people may not have had that.
True indeed.
And again, too, sometimes them practices may not have been adopted, but yet and still, as you grow older, there are some things that may not have been instilled in you, but some things you still need to pick up as you grow and mature. And granted, everyone does not mature at the same age. I've learned that, and
Right.
they don't mature at what you think they should mature at. I've
Right.
learned that as well too, but yet and still after a certain amount of time, there should be some things that you should be like, okay, enough is enough. I'm not trying to live like this. I'm not trying to get on like this. You know what I'm saying? And after a certain amount of time, if you have a whole lot of clutter in your house, then you have that same clutter in your mind.
Mind,
And
yes.
you cannot grow and expand from that. And it's just not a good thing. So if you have clutter in your mind, you might want to look at your surroundings, and it might be some things you want to get rid of.
Yes.
Especially those who like to hoard belongings. And I understand that that probably comes or stems from a very deep seated place of lack or the feeling of lack. You know, maybe someone who grew up without many of their own personal things. So as they get older, the things that they can actually purchase for themselves makes them feel good. It makes them feel whole in a way. You know, receiving gifts from people who care about you, who see what you like or what you're in need of, and they want to grant that for you. But as you grow and your borders expand in knowledge and wisdom and in things that come from that knowledge and wisdom, sometimes you have to prioritize and pass some things along to somebody else who may want or need something, and make room, you know, for more growth and more cleanliness, more space, more order, whatever it is. We have to learn and grow. You know, nothing we're saying is in judgment of anybody, but if you want to
Right.
be a spiritual person, you know, the human side, the meat suit side, as you would say, sis, it's going to come in contact with the physical first. And it's going to say, okay, I really like this brother or sister. I really like their company. I like talking to them. We can build. I feel like we're family in some way, but I can't be here too long because I don't want to offend them. But I
Right.
seen some things lying around or collecting and gathering, and I don't want to offend them, but I want to grab a rag. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or,
Right.
you know what I mean? And so as you get closer to someone, and those barriers, not the boundaries, because we all need boundaries, but when the barriers start to break down, that's when you can, hey, you know, I'm gonna clean this up for you. I don't think you probably saw this, or if you did, you just might not
Yeah.
have got around to it. It's no big deal. It's just bothering me. Nothing towards you in any type of way. I want to do this. All right, cool. Thanks. You know what I mean? That person may like have a hang up. It looks like it's mold and they know it needs cleaned up, but they scared to death the mold. You don't know what a person's thinking, right?
That's
No,
right.
no excuses, but no judgment. Like
That's
so,
right. A
like
lot
Queen
of
said. Oh, go ahead.
people, I bear, excuse me, bro. Um, I bear witness and experience a loved one that was, he was telling me that he was depressed. And then when he was here with me for about 18 months, my loved one, soulmate, um, I could see the depression. And we had a powerful relationship, brother and sisterhood. We respected each other. Yet I it was my first time around someone who was depressed that wasn't my parents. Um, and the depression caused my brother to not pull the garbage pails out, just asking, can he wash off one dish? I had asked, when you're here, please, can you not leave your dinner plates in the bedroom? Two, can you not leave the leftover dinner plates in the bedroom and not leave it in the kitchen sink soaking? Because now the food from the night before, ketchup or whatever stuck. Because I have 4 cats in the house. And unfortunately my cats will go into the sink, 2 out of the 4 young cats, and pick. And that's hazardous. That's their health. That matters. I'm responsible for that. Just having animals, you try to be as safe as you can with material objects and anything regiment that can harm them or upset the body. And just I asked one time and then it kept happening. My brother would leave the dish in the sink. And I spoke to my brother at a tone like I'm speaking now on this platform. And I said, bruh, I know you may not have remembered. I went through the back door, or what I think is the back door, instead of saying you this, you that. My father said, when you talking to us, because we are oppressed people, even you, don't use the word you, you. It interferes with the oppression. Speak without using the word you. So I did. I went through the back door and I said, this may not have been remembered as far as rinsing off the plate. But I know deep down inside, to wash that plate off. Come on now. One plate, you're eating off of it. Come on now. We got cats.
Right.
You see them every day, So with depression, my point is just bringing all of that up. When I said something again about it, my brother blew up, started getting his suitcase and packing his clothes and go nowhere. But it was just a moment, and my brother was like, "Nobody wants to be honest with you. Nobody wants to speak up to you because everybody's intimidated of you, Jesus." But somebody, nah, none of that, bro. Just it's about rinsing the plate, sweetheart. This has nothing to do with nobody wanting to be real and confront me because they're afraid of my power and my voice. No, rinse the plate, period. Out of consideration for you, the home, the animals. So, depression, I bear witness that depression can create an attribute of not caring. There are times in my life that I did not care. And I know that I know morals, okay? I come from a strong foundation, balanced people, balanced enough, okay? Enough. We all had issues. No, when I wasn't my full self, I did not care. I pushed my children to the back burner. I didn't care about certain priorities. Depression can create that. I bear witness to myself, and then I've seen it with loved ones around me. When it comes to the spirit of depression, that can create one to just shut down and not care about what we was talking about, cleanliness.
Yeah, when a person is suffering from from depression, they don't have the capability. It's
Right.
just not there.
Yes.
You can get mad
Yeah.
all you want. You can call them names, try to shame them. All
Mhm.
you doing is compounding how they already feel,
Yes. Yes.
and it's just gonna make it worse. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not easy. Like having a child that deals with it, I deal with it on my own in a personal level. Not,
Mhm.
being in a place where you don't want to get out of bed.
Right.
Like you're
Right.
hoping that all of this subconsciously is just a dream, like we're told by so many spiritual gurus. No pun intended, no jokes made towards them or shots fired. Just saying, like, I'm not saying that it isn't, but for some people, you wake up, and I was just having this discussion with my brother Terrence. Like, it's a fine line between um, that dream and that nightmare, And so for some people, that's a constant experience. And,
Yes.
they can't until they can. It's just that simple. It sounds crazy, and it's not as simple as that as far as like dealing with it
Right.
as from the outside, but it's just that simple if you could change your mind towards them to understand that they either can or they can't.
Right.
And you better hope that you don't get to that point if you have never reached it,
My
because
point of bringing that up is
yeah.
because you said something so powerful, which is, do we share? Would you say, do we both have equal agreement about life?
Mm,
That that's right there, that key. That's not something that I was thoughtful enough of.
mm,
I let my mind control my heart instead of my heart control me to have discernment. You see what I'm saying? So I had
mhm.
to learn through my experiences with coexisting with people. And I said, okay,
I'm here.
I may not I may not be the one that can deal with someone with depression because I take away from me and my entire household is affected because of that. That's what I got from that. I
Hmm.
have children in the home, a child that had a brain disease, terminal brain disease,
Rest
and
in
my
power.
brother was here. That energy of depression, I'm not putting them down. I know I've been there.
Right.
22 years of severe depression. Who ain't on this planet? There are phases of that. You got to be kidding me. You know what I'm saying? I know that we overcome it and then it comes back and then we overcome it and then it can come back for millions and millions of us throughout life as a child in this realm, honestly. But it showed me more value and worth. And it's not about the person. I taken away and from not only the house, the foundation, but the animals that matters. And I'm responsible for that. I don't want to have my animals. I don't want to invite others in because of what they're going through. and take away from the foundation or the animals or me. And I'd be like, all right, he just going, or she is just, or mom is just going through something. No,
You want
I
to,
don't deserve to take from me. So I learned better discernment now.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and spiritually speaking, like I can't speak on the science of it. I haven't studied it like that, although maybe I should. Um, when a person's going through a depression or through the symptoms of depression, spiritually they have to become the focal point, and it's hard from the outside because it's all inside for them. It's inward. How do you get into that place? Oftentimes a person may struggle with trust issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing how to set healthy boundaries, having let other people get in too close at times that weren't worthy of that positioning or what have you, so that might have brought them into a broken place
Mm-hmm.
of further depression spiraling. So
Yes.
it can take over the entire household.
Mhm.
It definitely can, because it takes a very um, not just strong. It's like that's an understatement, but a person that has enough to give, to reach that person in the inside world,
Mhm.
so to speak, to change their perception of their inside world.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? Like we can
Yes.
try to throw a party. You could try to like change the paint to be all like positive colors, and man, ain't none of that shit gonna work
None of it. Word.
until you get that person to change the perception of what's going on inside. Because what
Yeah.
they're seeing is not what you're seeing. They're seeing the reflection of what's happening in their mind,
Right. Right.
or what's developed as the picture within their mind from all of the things that they've perceived,
Yeah.
whether it was something that happened to them or things that happened to them, how situations played out. And they have to get to a place where they can accept the accountability of their role in it, and then see themselves doing something different.
Mhm.
This person
Yeah.
said this to me that hurt my feelings so bad, but how'd you react? Well, I went out and I got drunk, I wrecked my car. So
Yeah.
what are we not going to do again? Get drunk when somebody hurts my feelings?
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Cool.
Yeah. And no matter what my brother went through, my soulmate, um, I refuse to say you have to go.
Mm,
And because I know, as my spirit had taught to me, that all things play themselves out no matter what. And my brother ended up having a slight stroke and had to move out of state because now he could not walk on his own. And I had I had a son that had a brain disease that was gonna leave this world. So he had already knew he was helping me pick my son up for 18 months in the house. So he knew at this point I didn't have anything to help because now my brother can't walk without crutches.
mm.
And I had crutches. So his family, his true blood sister had to come get him and take him to another state. And even when he asked, can he keep the crutches? I said no. And it was personal because I had said no to me for so long and said yes to the world for so long. I had finally developed boundaries. And I said, I'm not wrong because he can't walk and does not have crutches. This is something that he can get on his own because God forbid something happens again and I needed those crutches. Not for me, it could have been for somebody else, not one to speak. So
Yeah.
his own depression and he was gonna leave, but he held back from it on his own and he was gonna leave. And I had confronted him about being productive. And he had a mini stroke and that's how he left. So it played his own self out because it wasn't my place to say you gotta go. Cause I know that one, it just didn't have to go that way. He was gonna take his own self out of here, and that's what happened. He waited too long. And what happens with anybody, depression, stress, it affects the body when we in resistance to anything. You know what I'm saying? It affects the body, it attacks the body, and that's how he left. So it played itself out. I'm in a position to be able to deal with the depression. Yet now I do know, just because I can deal with it, is it for me?
Right.
And I don't need anybody after being here for 18 months and won't even pull out a garbage pail and been in the room for 18 months to lash out at me because I simply just asking, can you please wash your dish?
Yeah, and
Or
that's
the health of animals. No, hey, you
that's
know.
that inner child, that inner child that, I'm not your mama, I'm your daddy. You know what I'm saying? How many have been a part of that conversation? You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
On both sides. But look, we can't re-raise people. We
Mhm.
Bill Withers had a quote before he transitioned. He said you have to approach most people with a certain prepared forgiveness, or not, as you say,
Mhm.
sis,
Mhm.
or not,
Right?
or
Or not.
don't deal with them.
Right?
But because of the spirituality versus religion concept, or not even concept, struggle, power struggle,
Mhm.
how it plays out, we all coming from similar spaces or separate spaces or completely opposite spaces. And we have to see ourselves, you know,
Mhm.
in another person. Sometimes it's harder than others.
Yes.
But if you can see that, oh, I'm not dealing with this person as an enemy at all. That's the little boy in me when my dad said this to me and I couldn't understand because he's talking as a man and I'm trying to understand as a boy. I'm encountering that right now. That's who I'm talking to when I talk to that person. Oh, they really don't mean no harm. They're like me when I was 8 and my dad was saying every goodbye ain't gone, every shut eye ain't sleep. You can't trust everybody. Person say goodbye, go in the next room and be leaning up against the door with their ear,
Oh, wow.
see what you say when they leave. Because they've been through so much trauma. That's how they determine who's loyal to them, rather than just watching
Wow.
things play out. Ooh.
Wow.
So when he said
Mm.
every shut I ain't sleep, oh, I remember when I had sleepovers and my friends would joke about it because they said you would be snoring and then wake up and repeat everything we said in the conversation. We thought you was lying. Your
Wow.
subconscious heard every. Yeah, I know what you really think of me, dude. I hear the jokes you tell when I'm sleeping. I know you really do care for me and like me. That's encouraging. But I know you ain't gonna hesitate to clown me. You know what I'm saying? So just do it to my face. We good. I'm gonna clown you back. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta feel like I'm gonna do something to you because of whatever happened with that person didn't have that rapport with me. You know what I mean? So who were they to crack that joke in front of 20 people?
Yeah.
And even then that wasn't the right way for me to handle it if it was violent, but I was a kid. You can get away with that as a kid. As a grown man now, I know like you might just have to eat that one. Does it sting because it's true, or who it's coming from, or both? Or was these just jokes? Even if there's a little truth to it. If I can tell the same type of joke when it's dealing with you, then we good. We're good. It's not about pettiness. But those are things that comprise spirituality. I think that sometimes we as humans overlook, and then like we were discussing last week, the religion, that's what you do every day. But that's how people learn about who you are, whether it's their perspective or perception of you. Um, or the body of work that you leave behind, the legacy or the track record. It's just that observance of what they see you do. Like sometimes your perception is not reality, but I have to check myself oftentimes with people. All I ever see this person do, and then I have to ask myself, how many times do you see this person in a week? What are
Hmm.
you doing when you see them? Are
Right.
you really paying that much attention to them? If so, why? Are they a threat? Are they a problem?
Right.
Like they get on your nerves. Why? That's a part of you. Then you remember, oh yeah, I did used to be like that. So I overcame it. That's why I'm irritated to be back around it because it takes me back to a place when I was that person.
Yep.
Same thing when we get into discussion sometimes about those touchy topics, religion, politics, gender. Like, yo, are you remembering a past life when you were the downtrodden female trying to raise her children, whether with or without a man, because of how society viewed them both, because of whatever circumstance they fell into? Why you care so much about where that woman get her money? Why you care if she's on welfare, if she's okay being on welfare? Now she's open to listening. You could tell her how to turn that into a business, and she can leave welfare high and by. Then share that. Otherwise, shut
Right.
up.
Right.
Ask her, do she need help carrying them bags? Do her sons need a ride to football practice? Because you know you're a stand-up dude, and you ain't gonna let nothing happen to him, and not gonna do nothing to him. How about that? When we were coming up, wasn't it like that? Weren't a lot of the men like that you saw, Corey?
Yeah.
My dad was a neighborhood dad sometimes. I'm like, man, can I get some football toss time? Everybody come knock on the door. Your dad home? Is your dad home? I like your dad. They love my mom too, but I'm just saying, everybody's doesn't have that at home. So I had to realize,
Right.
I'm like, oh, I'm fortunate. My parents
Word.
are great people. Even if I have my own later judgment of certain decisions, I wasn't a parent yet, so I couldn't really judge that, even though I might have thought I could. And then I'm looking at other people's perceptions. I'm like, oh, I come from good people. So if I had nothing else going for me, I at least come from good people. I know that.
Right.
And so all of those things contribute to the spirituality of a person. And yeah, it's key and it's formative in making them who they will become, or giving them the strength to know that they can overcome what they may have become and become something greater or different.
Word.
But yeah, man, spirituality versus religion part 2. We can always revisit this. Anyone who comes across it, like, share, subscribe. If you're already subscribed, thank you. We appreciate you, and we will always consider you as family. Anyone wants to offer criticism, concern, comment, engagement, we're encouraging that. We want to grow. We want to grow with you. Shout out to my sister. She's here.
Indeed. Indeed.
I don't think some of y'all probably do know what that'll come across as, but those who don't, check her out. If you're on Facebook, I don't know if she wants me. You want me to give that out? Do you care?
Nah, it's cool now. Thank
Shoot,
you,
check out
bro.
the Jesus show. Was it the third Thursday or fourth Thursday? Which one is it?
Oh, yeah, it's the fourth Thursday. The
Fourth
she's
Thursday. The Jesus show live. She goes live from Facebook also while she's on that platform. She's in how many countries?
44.
44 countries.
That's what's up.
Woo!
Now
Coming
that's the
out of
big
Nigeria.
platform with 24 million, bro. That's 5-year platform. Not the apps. That's a syndicated.
Syndicated program. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But check it out. You sometimes can get on there live and ask her questions and build with her depending on what she's going in on. Now, if she's teaching, you're gonna sit there, like she said, and watch the screen, and you can comment.
And
But
matter of fact, that platform with 24 million, that platform isn't of the trending spiritual community.
right,
It's not of the trending.
right,
It's not of the common speakers that's known by so many millions of us. And that's where I'm able to get a message out and speak to 44 different countries away from the trending speakers and all this. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I'm like kind of hidden, and able to get the message out through this podcast because I come into breath to speak to the world.
right.
So
Indeed.
I'm like quiet and hidden compared to the mass trending speakers out here now. And my work, what I present to the world, it could be two or three people all the time, because that's how powerful it is, and that's how truthful it is that the mass majority of the spiritual community
Mhm.
may not even reach this in this life.
Indeed, I was going to say you are, as we would say in music, a singer,
Oh, what's that?
a musician's musician.
Wow.
Well, it's like when you have a popular person, right? It's not their fault that they're popular.
Right, right,
It's their gift that they're popular.
right.
But if you were to ask them who was their favorite or who was the best to them, when they
Gotcha.
don't have to consider other people's criterion of comparison or categorization, they can just give you from the hip who they follow, who they listen to, who they want to sound like when they sing or when they play or when they
Yes.
rap or when they produce. You know what I mean?
Yes.
um you're that person that would be in those, you know the speakers list. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's time, since everyone is using the phrase that they practice what they preach, give their flowers while they're alive and well,
Word.
not when it's the third scare and they went in to be seen by the specialists again this year. Like, why not just say, man, I fuck with him hard. That's my dude. That's my girl. That's my homie. Like, if I could speak in multifaceted ways and be considered a perfect speaker, this aspect I would take from Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Or that person or this. So yeah, you're a speaker in this day and age, and it don't matter what community. It just is all about community. What's the common unity? What brings us all together? What makes us all the same? You know. But we're gonna wrap it up. Unfortunately, I have to take off, so I don't want to cut it short, y'all. We could continue. Um, like I said, part 3 even. Don't have to be next week. We might do another topic next week, but we're gonna definitely come back around to this, right? Right, C Dub?
Indeed.
We're gonna
Indeed.
go in it even further. I'd love to have my sister back at that point if she can and is willing, or schedule is willing, because she's always lecturing. Did you want to talk about womb dom real quick, sis? And then Corey, if you want to say something, shout out anybody or anything.
No, I'll probably bring it up another time. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Yeah, cause
Indeed.
I'm
Indeed.
sleepy. Excuse me, y'all.
I feel you. Well, go ahead, C Dub. What you got to say? Anybody want to shout out anything you want to plug, bring up, close down?
Nah, man. I mean, shoot, this is normal, man. Shout out to the rest of the crew. You know what I'm saying?
Swivel Room Media.
Basically,
Yep. 3 PMD,
30-30. You know what I'm saying?
30
Shoot.
30. Uh, Mercs with Mics need to come on back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, shoot. Brothers got lives and schedules, man. Shoot. Whenever they come back, it'll be
Oh,
ready. You know what I'm
you know,
saying?
I'ma just keep putting it out there till it
Yeah, of
happens.
course.
Man.
Of
But
course, man.
you got something coming up. I'm gonna let you plug that when you're ready. But y'all look out in the future here for C Dub with his Dolo joint.
Indeed.
Of course, if he wants my support in any way, as far as gathering anything to contribute to that, I'm gonna be there to hold him down. So,
No
I'm gonna
doubt.
just push. Swivel Room family. We love everybody,
For
all of
sure.
America, all of the world. Like, share, subscribe, join our community, give us feedback, comment, engage. If you feel
Word.
froggish leap with the donation, we could definitely use that towards the
Love
betterment
y'all.
of the program. And if you want to mention your Cash App, Jesus, go on ahead.
No, it's okay.
You don't?
Thank you.
I'm gonna sneak it out there unless you don't want me to.
Oh shit. As we keep growing and building, bro. Shoot, the people they feeling in their heart to exchange with you. Shit, we straight.
All
All right.
right. All right. Well, we build most of the time, almost every day. Some point out the week we be always in touch. So love y'all. Thanks
You
for your
know,
support.
we could lecture, me and you could lecture to the world for 5 to 10 hours and blow the world mind. But is it worth it? You know what I'm saying?
I hope.
Right.
Hey, listen, I'm down. You know what I'm saying?
Baby.
I'm down as long as there's a desire, because we neither of us got breath to waste. We got too much we working on already.
Yeah.
and
I want to start interviewing
neither
people
does
to
C
speak.
Dub. He ain't got the breath to waste either with a
As soon as
attention to
I
play if it ain't right.
figure out how to, soon as I can invest into new devices and understand how to set up on YouTube. Oh, before I put the mic down, there's a potential that there's a potential for me to start on YouTube and speak about spiritual anxiety
Okay.
and just for people to speak about their spiritual experiences. I'm going to use my experiences, period. And I will may start it will open up a door for people to speak about their spiritual experiences that they had since a child. And some people never came back from that. A lot of people want to understand. And a lot of people, with all the speakers of the world, I see interviewers, but not in that section. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
get deep into these spiritual experiences with all these holographic beings and all these psychic attacks, and it's connected to their bloodline. It's connected to a story. Their soul is telling a story throughout cosmic and here in this paradigm and other paradigms. And people need someone, if it's for me, to open up that microphone for people to express their experiences. Even children, teenagers, people want to talk, but they feel like, who do I talk to? Or, you know what I'm saying, that
Sure.
nobody's talking about this. Everybody's just giving knowledge, or telling you what to do. Not everybody, excuse me, but that
I
seems
know
to
what you
be the
mean.
trend out here is do
Figuratively
this,
speaking.
do that, don't do this. If you do this, you ain't this. I mean, so it may be I say it may be a potential. Is there some things I wrote out I won't bring forth, some things I wrote out because we be doing stuff changing all the time. So
Right.
wrote it out, but it don't mean I bring it through in the flesh. But if I do, it'll be my first time on YouTube, and I'm gonna start telling stories of Jalen, stories of me, stories of Kenyatta, and open up the stage for people to start telling their spiritual stories. It's important, man. They're gonna help people to open up more with their own selves. I know what that's like to be afraid to even connect with myself because of spiritual trauma. Because I see dragons face to face. You see what I'm saying? In my home, I got to stand up to dragons face to face. I've been defeated by some, you know what I'm saying, in my own flesh. You know what I'm saying? So I know there's so many that want to at least hear somebody speak about that, like, whew, for your psychological state.
Well, you got my support. Uh,
Okay.
and should you, like I said, should you be available and be willing, we can, like I said, we can go part three with this. We can continue on.
Okay.
Um, C Dub, same.
Yeah, sound like spiritual therapy. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And bro, what I'm doing now, C Dub, I'm in the process, excuse me, C Dub, is healing my nervous system with sound.
Mm,
I didn't do it yet, but I have instruments that I invested into it, harps and singing bowls that I invested into. It gonna heal my nervous system with other tools too. One of them my brother gave me, my brother Jay Drews, is the tea. The lavender tea is very important for relaxation and toning down the nervous system. Very, very important. I can't wait to tell the world that shit, that lavender tea. But first I have to do it for myself first. And through that, I'm
right,
gonna gain more wisdom, more understanding. I'm gonna be confronted with more shit. Excuse my French, debris or whatever, debris, whatever. And then I can open the door and I will know what to, you know, with sound. So
right,
I gotta
right.
remember sound, how to work with these instruments that I invested into. Mhm.
Yeah, that's dope.
Absolutely.
Sure, that's dope.
And my skates can heal people, but I first have to remember the ability in the skates. With my brother again, with he played music, so my skates and my brother music with certain light go together that can assist people. But I gotta do it for myself first. So that's what I come
Right.
against. Hmm.
We all have to practice that. That's where I be frustrated. I don't be frustrated with other people. I get frustrated with me. some things I want to bring forth. It's like I have to complete a process before I really want to share it. Not because I don't want people to know it or like think of it the way that I do. It's just that I could present it in such a way after I've gone through it or I've come through the other side of it. And I think that's the same thing with all of us,
Yes.
especially with our gifts, abilities, and
Mm-hmm.
talents. But
Word.
well, all right, y'all. We're gonna let it go for today. We're gonna see y'all next time, next
Okay.
ride.
Thank
And
you.
Sure.
peace, family, love, and